Hi there, everybody. This is Russ with RST Coaching Academy. I'd like to welcome you to a special edition of Money Talks. This is a special edition because I'm giving you the video that I created recently of really what is my signature talk for helping to grow business for people. It's a talk that I present periodically to folks and invite business people to tune in, salespeople to tune in, and to learn some tips and some principles about business and selling and how to make more money. That's what Money Talks is all about. That's what I'm all about, is helping you figure out how to make more money, okay? So without further ado, let's get on with it, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, bye. I'm glad that you're here today. I'm glad that I'm here today. I want to welcome you to your big finish in 2024. As it says up there, your big finish in 2024, but it's time to grow your business and to get ready, get in position for a great 2025. That's what we're all about. And my intention here is to give you some information, pass on some tips and some principles to you today that you can implement right away. And then also, hopefully, I've got special offer for you down the line that maybe we can end up with a long-term relationship. So we're good to go. Now, before we get started, I just have to make a confession. Like maybe you, I have an addiction. Like maybe you, my addiction is to business. That's it. I've got a hardcore addiction to business. And looking back over the last 50-some years, I can remember where and how it started. It was 1972. I was 2 years out of college up in my hometown of Madison, Wisconsin, with a degree in business management. Those 2 years had already put me through 2 different jobs, both of which I hated and quit, looking for something better. So this one day in 1972, I'm sitting in the living room with Jenny, the girl that I was dating at the time, and I'm whining about my lack of opportunities, my frustration with job and career. You know, back then it was they still say it, go to college, get a good education, get a good job. Well, unfortunately, I went to college and I majored in weekends, so my education wasn't too good, and therefore my job prospects weren't all that hot. But I'm complaining about it. So I'm whining and complaining, and all of a sudden Jenny says, Russ, maybe you would be happier owning a gas station. I said, what? Me own a gas station? I have a college degree. I should stumble and stoop down to owning a gas station? It just seemed way preposterous, beneath me. I blew up, and that was the end of the conversation. Well, a year later, Jenny was gone, and I had already purchased my first business. Guess what it was? It was a gas station there on the outskirts of Madison, Wisconsin. I owned that station for 2 years, but the addiction had started for business. I remember I had a pastor back then up there that he could drive down the street and he could see a building and he would envision a church in that building. Me, I could drive down the street, see a building, maybe the same building, and I would envision a business. So that's how addicted I was. So now the course of 50 years after that, I've owned a number of businesses, owned and operated a number of businesses. I have enjoyed being in business for myself. I've just loved business that much. But I realized that while I was in business for myself, I was also by myself. You see, I didn't have anybody that I could turn to for training, for coaching, for help. Nobody cared. Of course, my wife cared, but, she had her things. And so there I was on my own. So I stumbled along in a number of businesses. Some did fairly well, I'm happy to say. I think a lot of it had to do with just the luck of the draw and happenstance and so on. And those that didn't do so well, we won't even talk about that. But looking back, it had to have something to do with my lack of training, lack of coaching, lack of mentoring, and so on. So it was October of 2022, nearly 2 years ago. I found the solution to what I needed for me, for my businesses, for all the things that I had been through for the last 50 years. That solution was in the person of Grant Cardone. Don't know if you've heard of him or not, but he is the number one, the leading online training specialist and coaching specialist in the world. And so as I got involved with him and his program, I became and signed up to become a licensed 10X certified business coach. And in that, even though the last 19 years of my business career had been devoted primarily in the marine industry, I basically set that aside because my passion now is to help people just like you through the muck and the mire of owning and operating a business, maybe not having a large enough organization to give you advice and to a sounding board, a board of directors or whatever the case may be. But nevertheless, I'm offering me to you, and that's my passion, is to help you be involved in that. I'm devoting myself to helping others in their quest for greatness. And that leads me to today, and has led you to today too, to come here to see and listen to what I have to say, some information that I can pass on that hopefully is going to be a blessing to you. All right? So we're talking about business, right? I want to show you how to get started in growing your business. Maybe you're doing well, maybe you're doing okay, but in our realm, the realm that I travel in, okay and average is an enemy of great. And that's where I want to take people just like you, to become great at what it is you do in your career, in your business, in your life, in every aspect. Grant Cardone says that success is your responsibility, your duty, and your obligation. For yourself, for your family, for your community, for your nation, for your church, for everybody all around you. Success is your obligation, my obligation too. That's what we're looking for as we grow our business, to become great in business and great in life. So here we are. It's time to grow your business, all right? Let's get going. I'm going to talk about what I call the triangle of business. There's more aspects to a business than just these three, but these are the big three in my opinion, okay? You've got marketing, you've got sales, and you have operations. We're going to talk about each one individually. I'm going to pass on some information, some principles, some ideas that hopefully will help you in each of these three areas, okay? So let's get going. First off, marketing. Here it is. What is marketing? You know, a lot of people, they'll refer to sales and marketing. I believe that's backwards. Marketing comes first. So in my opinion, it should be marketing and sales. You've got to do your marketing first before you get the prospect in the door that you can end up selling him something. All right? So here's some ideas. Marketing, what is it? It's the bridge between you, your company, and your customers. It's the bridge. It ties you to the people that you're trying to reach. That's marketing. It comes in a number of different aspects. Number one, market research, where you identify and predict customer wants and needs. Now, if you want to do something, if you want to sell something and offer something to the public, to customers, it would behoove you to do some market research to make sure that there's a call, there's a demand for that particular idea, that particular product or that service that you're wanting to put out there in the marketplace. Do that market research, identifying and predicting customer wants and needs. Market research. Number 2, branding. Does your business have a brand? Does the public, does the world know your business by its brand, by its brand name? You can think of all these big companies around the world. They spend a lot of money branding so people know their brand. They'll come up with even a slogan or something that when you hear that slogan, you think of that brand. Or when you see the brand name, the logo, you think of the slogan. Works both ways. But the branding, you're burning the idea or concept into the minds of your target audience. Branding. Getting people to know who you are and what you have. That's your brand. Number 3, advertising. Well, of course, we all think about advertising. That's where you're informing potential customers about your products and services. That's where you're saying, we have this product, we have this service. You're specifying a certain thing that you want to promote, okay? And everybody needs to be targeted. Who's your target audience? The adage is, what problem do you solve and who do you solve it for? You need to think of that when you're marketing. What problem do you solve and who do you solve it for? If you don't know, then you're just throwing mud against the wall and not much is going to stick at all. But you want to get targeted in your marketing steps, knowing who you're after and the product and service that you want to promote. There is your advertising part. And then we do have specific promotion. This is where we're talking about furthering the process of raising and advancing attention to create demand for your products and services. It's not just, okay, we have this thing that we sell. We have this service that we sell. But that's just putting it out there. But to promote it, to really get it out there, to raise more attention, and as it says here, to instill urgency. Well, we've got this great product. You should buy it. You should sign up for it in the next 6 months. How about if you come up with a way to create urgency? We've got this great product. We've got this great service. And now is why you should get involved with it today. We create some urgency to that. Otherwise, the people are just, the customers, the audience, the world is just going to say, oh, that's really nice. But then there's no pressure, so to speak, for them to actually do anything with this information. Maybe they'll put it on the back burner and then they'll run across something else the next day and they'll forget about your product, your service, your brand, and so on, unless you can create some urgency and get that individual to jump, to say, I got to do something now. This is important. How are you going to promote it? What kind of a thing? Well, you can offer, a special pricing, or you can offer special bonuses, or whatever, limited time offer. There's a myriad of different things you can do to create that urgency while you're doing your promotion. So those are basically 4 different aspects of marketing. We got the market research, branding, advertising, promotion. Okay? Now I'm going to give you some principles, tips to enhance your marketing efforts. Now, as I said before, I've been around the business world for 50 years. Like I said, some businesses did fairly well, most of them not so well. I never knew these tips before. So you want to write this down. If you got your workbook, hopefully you've got the workbook going and you're going to fill in the blanks. Number 1, creating something new, promote it like mad, even before it comes out. Now that sounds strange.
You've done your market research, because that's the number one thing under the heading of marketing is your market research. So you know that there's an opportunity for this product, but it's in the infancy stage. It hasn't really been developed. And what do we say here? What am I telling you to do? I'm telling you to promote it like mad even before it comes out. Get out there. Tell people about it. This is coming soon. We're in development. Maybe you've got an ETA for the item. Maybe you don't. But what are you doing? You're creating interest, and you're creating that people are on the edge of their seats, just waiting for the real introduction. I started in the computer industry in 1984. It was when the IBM AT first came out. Now you're probably too young to remember that at all. I mean, golly, it's a long time ago. But back in those days, and they're probably still doing it now, is that we had the IBM AT, and then we had compatible computers that were coming out that were doing the same thing as the IBM, the IBM brand of computers, only for a lot less money because they didn't have the IBM name. Okay, so all of these companies would have a particular product, and they're working on their next one. And what were they doing? They were promoting their new product before it was even out on the street. It was just creating interest. Now, the way that kind of backfired on these guys is that in the meantime, these companies had their base products that they were selling, but then the new product was going to basically, take their place. Well, so a customer was easy to say, well, why should I buy this product now when in a month or 2 or 3, it's going to be outdated? So that was something these companies had to overcome. But nevertheless, what they were doing was a wise thing because they were promoting their next product, getting it out there. If you've got a new product, like I've said here, promote it like mad even before it's out. The second item, assume your marketing efforts are not even seen. So, keep it up. Keep doing it over and over and over again. Now, one of the places that you can market your brand, your products, your services, for example, is on social media. I have I use the 5 main social media platforms. And I have multiple accounts on each platform because oftentimes I am promoting a different aspect of what I do. But I'm hitting those things every day. 148 hits per day per platform. Wow. So I'm doing a lot out there to get known, to get my brand known, to get my products and services known. Are you? You want to do that. You want to assume that nobody sees it. So keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. I remember it was an associate in the coaching business that I'm involved in. He was sending out emails for a particular service that he was offering. And I sent him an email and I says, this is the 3rd one of these emails that I've gotten in 2 hours. And he came back and he kind of laughed. I could tell he was laughing because he said, yeah, well, I got your attention. That's what he was after, was Russ's attention, not only Russ's attention, but the attention of everybody else that received those emails. So do it all the time, early and often, because you're going to assume that nobody sees it. Number 3, any marketing is better than no marketing. Well, let me go back a second here to this creating this new product. You're going to be developing that product while you're promoting it like mad, remember? And you're going to be tempted, or somebody's going to be tempted to say, well, we've got to get this thing perfect. We've got to get this thing out. We got to get it totally perfect before we can really introduce it. Well, that may be the case, but you need to be promoting it from the get-go, and any marketing is better than no marketing. Even if you have a very small marketing budget of, say, 0 or only $500 a month or whatever the case may be. Any marketing is better than no marketing. You want to spend your dollars wisely in the marketing arena, but it's better than not doing anything. Next, whoever markets most wins most. So you're hitting the marketplace with you, with your brand, with your products, with your service. And you've got somebody down the street that's got a very similar product and service. Who is the prospect likely to buy from? Wouldn't you say, wouldn't you agree that it's going to be the one who they know the best, who they trust the best, and who they like the best? And that is all going to take place through common approach under the area of marketing. Even before they walk in your store, even before they are on your website maybe, even before they've called you, you want to be out there more than your competition. You know, people talk about keeping up with the competition or beating the competition. Grant Cardone, my mentor, he says you need to dominate the competition. So when somebody thinks of, you put your product or service there, that's who people are going to think of. That you are Mr. or Mrs. whatever it is in the marketplace because you have marketed the most than any of these other people. Next we have, I said it before, remember, sales and marketing, in my opinion, is backwards. It's marketing and sales. Before you can get the sale, you typically got to get the customer's attention, and that's the job of marketing. So it's marketing is senior to sales. And let me give you a little tip here too. No extra charge. The better your marketing all the way around, the easier the sales process is going to be, because you're warming up the prospect. You're warming up the potential client, because through your efforts, they already know you. They already like you. They already trust you. So that starts in the marketing world, senior to sales. And we're all in the business of making sales. We'll talk about sales next. The best known trumps the best. That kind of goes back to a couple points earlier there. Whoever markets most wins most. The best known trumps the best. The thing is about that statement is, I know we want to strive to have the very best, the best value, the best for the money, okay? But even if we're falling a little short of attaining that, this statement here says, the best known trumps the best. I've often said that you can have the best product, but if you don't have good marketing, nobody's going to know about it. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to be interested in it. On the other hand, you could have a product that's not quite the best, but because of your marketing efforts, the world knows about it. The world sees it. The world has confidence in it, and the world wants to buy it because of that marketing. So the best known trumps the best. If you don't have the best, well, you want to strive for that. But in the meantime, be marketing the most. Be marketing the best, so you're best known in the marketplace. So people know who you are, what you have, and they can rely on that. And in the process, you're going to improve your product, aren't you? You're going to improve your product and service. Lastly, money follows attention. That goes back to the aspect of marketing as senior to sales. Money follows attention. First, a person comes to know who you are. They come to know your product. They come to know your brand. And eventually, you can turn them into a customer, a paying customer, hopefully for a long term. Money follows attention. It starts with the attention aspect under this area called marketing. So that's marketing. That's marketing in a very large nutshell. There's a lot about marketing, a lot of different aspects. We can get into that later. I can help guide you through different parts of it and what would work best for your particular industry. But just keep in mind how important marketing is, because it's senior to sales. Next, we're going to talk about sales. Now, the purpose of every business is to reward the owner for their hard work, for their risk, for the money that they've invested. That's the purpose of every business, is to reward the owner. Now, there's some side parts of that, of course, but that's the big aspect of it. And all of that reward comes under the heading of sales. Did you know that everybody is a salesperson? Every one of us are in sales. Are you married? How did you get your spouse? Didn't you sell that spouse on your attributes, on why that spouse should fall in love with you and choose you amongst all the other suitors in the world? Do you own a home? Did you get a mortgage? You had to appeal to that lender, to mortgage broker or lending agent, as to why you're a good risk. You had to sell that individual. You have a job. You come up with a great idea. You need to be able to sell that idea on the people around you who can implement that idea. You agree with me? Does you make sense? You understand what I'm saying? Everybody's in sales. Not everybody is a salesperson for a living to make money, but every one of us has to know how to influence people, how to portray their ideas and the things that they're passionate about. So it's all under the heading of sales. Grant Cardone wrote a book. It's entitled Sell or Be Sold. And the first chapter is all about that whole precept right there, that everybody is in sales. So let's get on with it here. What is sales? Where the magic happens. We've done our marketing. We've inundated the world, the atmosphere with who we are, our brand, our products, our services, and everybody knows who we are. And they're excited because we're advertising to beat the band. We're promoting night and day. We're creating urgency in the hearts and minds of our would-be customers. This is where it happens, because we get to convert prospects into customers. That's the end result of sales, converting a prospect into a customer, and I might add, repeat customers. We don't want to just say, well, thanks for buying today. We'll probably never see you again. No, we want repeat customers. We'll get into that down the line here. But I want to talk about sales here. There's a sales process that we teach. It's a 6-step sales process. Now I'm going to go through each of these steps one at a time. Number 1 is the greeting. Okay? As soon as possible. Whoop, that was number 2. We're going to go back to number 1. Always with a great attitude and a broad smile, extend your hand and introduce yourself to that prospect. If that individual comes into your shop, into your store, into your place of business, this is what you want to do. You want to have a great attitude. You want to have a broad smile, and you want to shake the hand of that individual. You want to get that prospect's name, and you want to use it. One of the most important things to a person is their name. And most people like to hear their name. So once you've gotten that name, commit it to memory and use it frequently during the conversation, during the 6-step sales process. Number one, it's going to convey to your prospect that you are listening, that you are paying attention to them, and also that you care enough to get personal and use their name, to converse with them one-on-one, okay? So what if your business is telephone? You know, people call. They call with questions. They call and place an order, whatever the case may be. But it's not one-on-one coming off the street into your store, into your shop, or into your office. But it's a phone call. People can sense. They can sense your great attitude. They can sense your broad smile. Even if they don't get to see you, just convey that. The way you talk, the way you present yourself, even on the telephone. And don't forget, may I have the pleasure of knowing who I'm speaking to? You still want to get their name and use that name. Write that name down and use it frequently during your whole conversation. And then, what can I get you information on today? One of the things that I hate when I go into a store is, can I help you? I just hate that. I always want to say, do I look like I need your help? No. How about, what can I get you information on today? Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for calling. I'm glad you're here. And you've met them. Your broad smile is just radiating. Your great attitude is just awesome. You shook their hand. You got their name. Thanks for coming in. What can I get you information on today? Write that one down, because people want some kind of information. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stopped in. Otherwise, they wouldn't have contacted you. So doesn't that sound better than, can I help you? Yeah, that's just, I don't like it. Okay. Okay. Anyway, what can I get you information on today? You could even answer the phone. Hi, it's a great day at RST Coaching Academy. What can I get you information on today? You see how well that shines, how well that resonates, and hopefully I had a great attitude and a great smile when I said that, even on the telephone. Okay, so that's number one, the greeting. Number two, we're going to qualify this person that has walked in the door, that has called us or whatever, has made contact through our marketing, through our exceptional marketing efforts, okay? As soon as possible, make sure the prospect can afford it. Okay. Now, I've been in the marine industry, as I think I said earlier, last 19 years. Part of that time was in yacht brokerage. Picture this. Somebody walks in off the street. He says, I want to buy that $1 million boat over there. And the broker said, oh, that's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. You know, he's just pulsating and he's just excited. $1 million sale. That's great. I want to buy that $1 million boat today. Down the road, after he's seen some of these $1 million boats, through the course of conversation or even filling out an application for credit, once he found a $1 million boat he wants to buy, the broker finds out this guy, he's only making $75,000 a year. He's just got a small net worth. He has no wherewithal to come up with a loan to purchase this boat. Wouldn't it have been great? Wouldn't it have been wise if that broker would have found that out, to qualify that person, to make sure that he could afford the thing in the first place? Okay? Make sure they can afford it. Number two, is this individual that you're speaking with the decision maker? Now, you might be talking to, in a business situation, you might be talking to someone who works at the business. Well, a lot of times, the owner or the manager isn't going to go out and, survey the marketplace themselves. They're probably going to send somebody and say, hey, Joe, go on out here and check this out. So Joe goes out and checks this out, and so on, and the sales rep is just having a wonderful time. But, as it come to find out, that person's not the decision maker. You want to find that out as soon as you can. Are you the decision maker, or do I need to talk to somebody else? And if you need to talk to somebody else, find out who that person is and try to make contact with them. You could go through the whole sales presentation and process and everything, but if you can get that taken care of and get in front of that decision maker, the sooner the better. Number one, you wouldn't have to probably go through your whole thing a second or third time. Now, I understand that's not always going to be the case, but just so you know, if this is the decision maker, if he's not, well, don't get your hopes up too terribly high, because you're going to have to go through, another step, another area in order to reach the decision maker. So know who your decision maker is. Number 3 here, urgency. Is there an urgency? Well, my computer broke. By golly, there's an urgency right there, isn't there? There's an urgency to get that thing replaced or repaired ASAP. There is an urgency. If they've come in and they said, yeah, I'm thinking about doing something down, 6 or 8 months down the road. Okay, well, that's 6 or 8 months down the road might be a sale. But how about if you could take that through your expertise and your excellent training from me and my associate, you could create an urgency, and that individual would step that up to maybe even now. There's a new urgency. I want to do this now. I was thinking 6 or 8 months down the road, but after talking with you and hearing the benefits of doing something now, let's do this now, So you always want to try to create the urgency, because you'd like to make the sale today, wouldn't you? Not 6 or 8 months down the road. The next one, you probe for interest, wants, and needs. Years ago, I was in a business, and the head of this organization, he had a little phrase. He said, wish, want, need, got. Wish, want, need, got. So Joe wakes up one morning and he thinks, that little 32-inch TV just isn't all that great. I wish I had a 60-incher. That'd be so great to have a 60-inch TV. He's just started with a wish. And the more he thinks about that, he comes up and says, I want a 60-inch television. This little thing that I've got is just not cutting it. I want to have a larger TV. And the more he dwells on that, suddenly it has become a need. Martha, he talks to his wife. He says, Martha, we need a 60-inch television, don't we? Martha could care less, but okay, Joe, whatever you want. I need this TV. And usually our needs, our real needs, do not go unfulfilled. We usually come up with a way to fulfill those needs, don't we? And so the next step is got. Oh, Joe found a way to buy a 60-inch television, and he's thrilled. That's the story of wish, want, need, got. You're going to probe for interests, you're going to probe for wants, you're going to probe for needs. And the more of the things that you can uncover during this area of qualifying, you can keep those in the back of your mind and then bring them forward in your presentation down the line. Number 3 is present. So you've gone through the greeting, you've gone through the qualification, you've found out what their interests are, what it is that they're about, what they want this thing to do for them, okay? And you're going to describe the best product for them in detail. Now, if a person comes in and says, I want this particular item, they've done some research or whatever, they've seen ads and whatever, and they this is the one I want. But you still want to do some probing, you still want to do some qualification based on their needs, and is it really going to be the best product for them? Once you've landed on the best product, one way or another, you want to describe the best product in detail. You want to demonstrate that product, if at all possible. Computer store, they're going to light up the computer, they're going to put it through its paces and so on. A television, they're going to light up the TV and they're going to show the resolution and all this stuff and give all the cool things about it, okay? A demonstration is in order frequently. Okay, always include features and benefits. Now they're different. Features and benefits. A feature is like a technical statistic, so to speak. It's just what this thing has, what it's made of, what's inside of it. The benefit to that feature is what that is going to do for the customer. Now, there's two types of people. There's emotional people and there's analytical people. An analytical person is probably going to go nuts over the features part because they like to dive into all the details, all the nitty gritty, the memory, the refresh rate, or whatever it is that's being promoted, that's being talked about, the features of that particular product or service. Whereas the emotional person is more apt to go for the the benefits, because that's what, for them, that's where the rubber meets the road, because that is where something beneficial is going to happen for that customer, right? And so you've got features, you have benefits, and you definitely want to include both. Don't forget, for every feature, include the benefit. Next, blend the solution with common objections and complaints. Now we're going to talk a little bit more objection and complaints, okay? A person hearing you speak might say, wow, that's expensive. Was that a real objection, or was that just a complaint? Like a comment, okay? That's really expensive. Complaint or objection? Your job's to find out which it is. The way to answer it is, sir, I know this thing is expensive, and we've been talking about the reasons why. Let's continue on here. Now, if the customer makes more issue of the price, then you may have an objection on your hands rather than just a passing complaint or comment. You see the difference? And the objection really has to be dealt with and overcome. Otherwise, you're at a roadblock. But the complaint, answer it, 1 or 2 quick sentences, and continue on. That's what you do. Is it an objection or a complaint? And then, as you're basically finishing up here, you ask this question. You can call it a trial close if you want. Have you seen enough to make a decision? Let's say that you've got, you've scripted out a whole presentation on this particular product or service. Well, if the customer is sold, if they've sold themselves in the process and you're only halfway through this presentation, wouldn't it behoove you to end it right there and close them? And the way you can find out where their head is at is that simple question. Have you seen enough to make a decision? Have you heard enough to make a decision? It's a simple question. It's non-threatening, pretty conversational actually. And you're going to get a yes, I have, or actually no, what about this? Or I need some more information. But you know where you're at that point in time. If they're ready to go, then go with it and finish it off. If they need more information, you're armed and ready, but why go there if it's not necessary? Sometimes we can talk our way out of a sale. Did you know that? By spouting off too much information. By talking too much, we can talk our way out of a sale. So simple, keep it simple, all right? Have you seen enough? Have you heard enough to make a decision? Simple question, non-threatening. Anybody can ask that question, and your prospect will surely answer. Number 4, you're going to propose the solution. You're going to propose the solution when it comes down to what it's going to cost. Look at this here. Well, you probably can't see it unless, you can see it back there, but on your workbook, you want to write this down. Always be seated. As much as possible, be seated, because you are more comfortable and your prospect is more comfortable if you're both seated. Now, maybe it was a situation where you were in a store or a shop or whatever the case may be, and you kind of led that individual on a tour. I know I've got a client that is he's a manager of a fitness center. Okay, so person comes in and they want information about this particular membership, and of course they're going to give a dog and pony show. They're going to show them around the whole place and stuff. But it'd be great just to sit down with that prospect, because maybe the person's got worn out after having gotten the grand tour of the place. So sit the person down, sit down yourself, and give them your proposal in writing. And explain it line for line, detail for detail, so that you're proposing this, you're professional all the way. This is part of being professional. Seating the client, the customer, presenting your offer, your proposal in writing, explaining it, and writing product highlights on a notepad for emphasis. Well, you've already been through this whole thing, a demonstration of this, and you've talked about the features and the benefits and all this and that. But if you write those things down to reiterate them, that's a plus. That's a plus on your side, okay? Because you're taking the extra time to make sure this prospect knows this particular product intimately before it's even theirs, so they know what they're getting into. Warranty information, include that. Whatever is pertinent to this transaction, write it down on this piece of paper next to you. A legal pad works fine. And be sure to give that to the customer, to the prospect. Whether they sold or not, give them that pad, give them that paper, because it's theirs. It'll remind them of you. It'll remind them of that product and service, of what you've been able to show them, and so on. Okay, so write those things down and pass it on. By the way, if you're in a situation where maybe it would be appropriate to offer a bottle of water for this prospect. Hey, can I get you a bottle of water? Prospect says, yeah, that'd be fine. Well, go get the bottle of water. Get a glass. Put some ice in it. Bring it back with a napkin. Open the bottle. Pour it into the glass. Give. Serve. You're just being professional all the way. You're taking care of this individual. You're telling them that they are important to you. So it's just something simple like that. A bottle of water. Or maybe a cookie or a snack or whatever, just something to help them be and stay relaxed, okay? By the way, this being seated thing, if the customer has been sitting for a while and thinks he's going to leave, and so stands up. Don't stand up. Stay seated and see what happens. Now, he might walk off. Yeah, he might. Okay, well, then you're probably going to stand up and, follow him out. But then again, he might sit back down again. But you don't know if you stand up right away, because maybe you're not done. He may think he's done, but you're not done. So stay seated. Stay seated as long as you can. All right? Number 5. Oh, this is a fun part. This is the close. You have gone through everything. You have been just professional and perfect and everything in every way. And you've asked the question, have you seen enough to make a decision? Well, yes, I have. You're going to jump into this number 5 here to the close. Or maybe you had to go through the whole presentation, but you're going to end up here at the close. Notice, without the C in close, you have lose. Most sales are lost because the sales professional did not act professional enough to close that customer. And they did it because they didn't even ask for the sale. They didn't even try to close. Don't be afraid. You're a professional. But without proper training, practice, and role playing, you're destined to failure. Now, back in 2004, I signed on with a local car dealer here in town. And although they took me through a couple of weeks of product knowledge of all of their lineup, all of their cars and their trucks and every model and this and that, and it was just really amazing. And I learned it well, I passed the thing and so on. I had product knowledge coming out of my ears. But I did not, at the time, really know how to sell. I could take the customer out, meet the customer, talk to the customer, what they were interested in looking at, what they were interested in buying, and so on and so forth. I could take them out to a particular vehicle that I had kind of thought this is a good match for them, taking them, the dog and pony show thing, taking them around the block in the car to dazzle them with how the thing rides and so on and so forth. But then came judgment time. Then came the time when we went back into the shop, into the office, and sat down. And that's when I was supposed to do the C word, the close. But I didn't know how. The negotiation thing, because that's how the car dealerships work, it's all negotiation. Well, the MSRP is this, but, you can have it today for this. And the customer says, well, that's great. I only want to pay this. And then you're negotiating back and forth. I really never been in a situation of having to do that before. So it scared me to death, to tell you the truth. So what did I do? I turned this deal over to a sales manager who would come over and close the customer. Most of the time, the customer ended up buying. And because the sales manager did it for maybe invoice price, whatever, I made $100 instead of a commission on the gross profit of the transaction. So I shot myself in my own foot because I did not know how to close. I did not know how to negotiate. I did not know how to overcome objections. It was a scary deal. I lasted there, I think it was 3 or 4 months, and I quit. Not because the cars were no good, not because the trucks were no good, not because I couldn't do well with the first 4 parts of the sales process, but because of this number 5. It was a mess. So I didn't know what to do. I wasn't trained. I didn't have practice. I didn't have role play. And that was partly my fault, but it was really the big fault of the dealership because they did not invest money in us as their salespeople. the people that make the sales for them. They didn't see fit, although they did it, for the product knowledge and so on, probably because they had to, because of the manufacturer, but they didn't spend the money, they didn't spend the time to get us properly trained on the sales process. Most salespeople don't even try to close. They go through everything, and then they just sit there. Hopefully they're sitting there, not standing. But they just sit there, and nothing happens. Well, because that was it. That was it. They didn't even try to close. Without the close, nothing is accomplished. You, as a professional person, your team, if you're the business owner, if you're the manager and have a team of sales professionals, nothing really is accomplished if they don't get to the close. One way or another, they got to get to the close. Make it happen. Now, there's 10 reasons that closers fail. I'm going to go through those briefly on the next screen. 10 reasons why closers fail. And then there's 20 rules for closing. I don't have time to get into those 20 today. That's a later time. It's part of our training program also and available on a seminar basis as well. But let's look at the 10 reasons closers fail. Number one, I already said it. They never attempted to close. Russ was too scared to try to close. So he shoved it off on a sales manager who was a professional at closing because he'd been doing it for years probably, and he was able to give away the farm and make Russ for just $100, So, I didn't try to close. Pressure is perceived as a bad thing. Now, this is an interesting one for a salespeople, and it's going to go back to this couple down here: lack of belief in your product. You're working with a customer, and they say, "Man, you're really pressuring me." Oh, sir, please do not mistake my passion. Please do not mistake my level of enthusiasm. Please do not mistake my conviction that this is the right product for you right now. Please don't mistake those things for pressure. I know this is the best thing for you, and that's why I come across the way I do. It's not that you're backing off because you still believe in your product and you still want to convey all of that to your customer, to your prospect. But don't let them accuse you of pressuring when you're doing it for their benefit. You're in this for them, not for you. Your benefit is a side part. Their benefit is first and foremost. It should be. It needs to be. Secondly, unwilling to deal with emotions. Well, we're talking about your emotions. Your emotions of being uncomfortable. Your emotions of if the customer goes bananas, if the customer gets emotional and goes off the rails, you maintain your calm. You maintain your peace. Do not respond in like manner. Keep control of your emotions. Unwillingness to deal with emotions, primarily your emotions. The next one, lack of belief in your product. The first thing, the first key, the main key to sales is for you to sell yourself, for you to be sold on that product or service yourself. If you're not sold, how the heck do you expect to sell anybody else? And this is going to go back to the greeting part with the broad smile and the great attitude, because you are so sold on that which you have in your arsenal, in your bag of products and services, that everyone is the best for that particular customer. You need to be sold. You need to have a belief in your product. And if you don't, you're not going to fight for it. You're not going to fight for the sale. You're not going to fight on behalf of your customer. Next, incorrect estimation of effort. Well, I guess this is part of what happened to me in the car dealership. Shoot, I thought it was going to be, customer comes in, I meet and greet, and I take him out, and I do the dog and pony show. We drive around the block and come in and write it up. It was a little more difficult than that under the area primarily of what the close was going to entail. It scared me off. Incorrect estimate of effort. Well, it's really harder than I thought it was going to be. Well, that may be true, but be looking at the rewards too. The reward of knowing that you've served your customer to the best of your ability, and to the fact that you've probably gained a good commission, a good paycheck out of this transaction. So you've got the plus side of that too, even though with the effort was some reward. Next, being unreasonable. Okay, so customer, you're going through everything, and customer says, well, I can't do anything right now, and they start throwing out some excuses, and you end up saying, yeah, I understand. I really agree, you probably should wait. Don't be so reasonable. How about a response of saying, well, in addition to that, would there be any other reason why you couldn't move forward today with this? Don't be so reasonable. Remember, you're sold on your product. You're sold on what that customer, what that product is going to do for that customer. Don't be so reasonable, because you'll fail. No financial plan in place. Okay, now, we all have pretty much of a budget. We need X number of dollars a month in order to pay the rent, maybe to pay the mortgage, car payment, insurance, everything, everything adds up, etc. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the budget. I'm talking about a financial plan. I'm talking about a long-term financial plan for your future. How you want your future to look. And I don't know, 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Do you have a financial plan? If you don't, figure one out. And then begin to see every transaction as a step towards the realization of that financial plan based on time. It's more than just a budget. It's a long term. Because you want to be in this for the long haul, don't you? So that financial plan is going to get you thinking down the road, no matter how far down the road you want to project. Get that financial plan going. Handling complaints as though they are objections. We talked about this a little while ago. Oh, that's expensive. Sir, I know it's very expensive. But let's go ahead and do this anyway. Handle it as just a complaint, as a comment. A passing thing. Maybe the prospect's going to say, yeah, I know. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Or maybe he's going to bring it up again. And it's going to evolve then into an objection that that's an objection. Well, I have a whole bunch of ways, like 100 different ways to handle objections. Okay? Be happy to share them with you someday. So when you've got an objection on your hands, then you need to go into your arsenal, your bag of responses and so on, and pull out the ones that are appropriate for this situation. It goes back to training. It goes back to educating yourself and role-playing with these things so you can get proficient at it. So you won't be afraid to go for the close. All right? Objections, complaints. Shortage of closing material. That's the next thing. Kind of deals with the step above. Just don't know what to do, don't know what to say. Nobody ever taught me. That was one of the things in my businesses. What I said earlier is that I didn't have anybody to train me, to teach me. I didn't have anybody to coach me, to guide me, to mentor me. I didn't have anybody that really cared whether I survived or not. All right? You have somebody who cares that you survive in Russ Thomas. All right? We have material to help you excel. There's no shortage of closing material, no shortage of techniques, no shortage of training. You just have to tap into that. Lastly, incorrect barrier or mental block on your part, not the customer's part, on your part. When you are presented with a new product or service, what is your first thought? Wow, that's expensive. Is that your first thought? Don't be surprised if your customers don't tap into that without you even saying it. But they'll be saying it too. And in the back of your mind, maybe in the forefront of your mind, you're going to be saying, yeah, I know it is. It's horrible price. It's on you. It's your deal. It's your thing to deal with. It's a barrier. It's a mental block in you. And find out what those are. As you work with customers, clients, and prospects, and so on, find out how you're relating to what they're saying. And if it's always like, yeah, I've got that problem too. Well, get over that problem so you can help your customer, all right? It behooves you to do that, not to have these mental blocks, okay? So anyway, those are 10 reasons why closers fail. You know, they're not all that difficult, but they do require some practice and some tools to be able to overcome them and to get on with it. Remember, without the C in close, you have lose. And without the close, not much has really been accomplished. You've just been a professional visitor, basically. You've made a friend. It's like the salesman goes home and greets his little girl and, Daddy, did you make a sale today? No, honey, I did not, but I did make a friend. We had a really good time. Well, that's wonderful. You know, she's not going to get her bike because Daddy didn't make a sale. He gets trained, gets taught, he practices, he role plays, he drills. He comes home, greets his little girl. Daddy, did you make a sale today? Yes, honey, I did. I made a big sale today, and you're going to get your bike. Which of those scenarios sounds better? That individual learned how to close. Number 6 is the follow-up. Now, as professional as you become, the art of presentation, the art of proposing, the art of closing, of negotiating, of overcoming objections, and so on and so forth. I do have a little bit of news for you, a revelation. You are still not going to close every sale on that first opportunity. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Statistically, it often takes 8 or more follow-ups, and that's why we're talking about follow-up. 8 or more follow-ups to actually close that sale. So you went through everything, you did everything right, you still couldn't close the individual. It's not the end of the line. Do not let it be the end of the line. Start your follow-up process. Well, what does that mean? Well, how about if you send a text to that prospect, maybe even as they're walking out the door, or text them later, or email them, or make a phone call, or do a little short video and send that to them through the email or on a text. Follow up. Keep in touch with that customer. You've got a new twist, a new thing to bring up, a new option, a new offer, whatever the case may be. Follow up, follow through. Don't be afraid to just say, I blew it, I lost the sale, I'm done, I've got to go to the next one. Now, well, you've got to go to the next one. There's no doubt about that. But you need to follow up with this particular customer. Who's to say they're not going to be one down the road? You'll never know if you don't follow up, if you don't take it down as far as you can. Grant has got a sheet of a plan basically for 365 follow-ups. I mean, like one a day. You could be part of the one a day follow-up club or something like that, you know. Now, honestly, I don't know if that's pushing it, but it's available. And the point is follow up. Don't just wipe them off. Don't just write them off because they didn't buy that very first time. Give them a chance. Give them another chance. Be their friend. Let them be persuaded themselves of your tenacity, of your determination. Goes back to your belief in your product, belief in your company, belief in yourself, that you're not going to give up easily. You know that this is the best thing for that customer, and you want them to have it, and you're willing to go to the mat. You're willing to go all the way to get her done, okay? So, you made the sale. You're not done. You're still not done, because follow up, the FU word continues there after the closed sale. What are we looking at? Make sure the customer is happy. Okay, so customers closed, made the sale. They walk out with the product, they sign the contract, it's being delivered, or whatever the case may be. In a reasonable amount of time, you want to contact that customer and make sure everything is good. Make sure they're happy with their purchase. Make sure that they don't have any questions, any problems. Because if you don't, they may never be addressed. They may never get answers to those issues. The customer may not take the initiative to call you, and so they just sit there twiddling their thumbs and frustrated. And then their next door neighbor says, well, how did you like the TV? Well, and then you start bad-mouthing it, and they start bad-mouthing the product, they start bad-mouthing the company, and they start bad-mouthing the salesperson. You need to follow up, make sure they're happy. Now, a lot of companies have customer service departments, but they don't have the heart that you have. They're not as invested in that transaction. They're not as invested in that customer as you are. So in my opinion, you are the front line of customer service. Call the customer before they call customer service with some kind of a complaint. Make sure everything's cool. Number B here, address and solve any problems in the course of that conversation. Hopefully you'll be able to figure it out. Maybe you can, but you're letting the customer know that you care. You cared enough to call. You cared enough to work things out, to try to satisfy that customer and deal with that issue. All right? You're going to ask for referrals. Maybe there's been an issue. Maybe they've been happy, whatever. You've solved the issue. You've made them content. They're happy. Say, Joe, do you know anybody else? Any friends, any relatives, acquaintances that you think might be interested in this same product? And then get your pen out and ready to take notes, ready to write down names and addresses and phone numbers, okay? Because they may have some referrals for you. Maybe you can offer a special. You give me a referral, I'll give you a $50 gift card, or whatever the case may be. You can come up with that, but you know what I'm talking about. Maybe there needs to be some incentive passed on to that customer for a referral. Maybe not. But if they have people that they know would like this product, it's your job to ask them for those names and contact informations. Okay? And then the last part of follow-up here on a sold customer is a second sale. Second and third sales are always easier than the first sale. Whether it's the same product again or a different product, it's going to be easier, typically easier than that first sale was. Because you've already been through the process of getting to know each other. They know you, they like you, and they trust you. So when there's an opportunity for another sale, another purchase on their part, it just makes sense for them to come to you, doesn't it? Well, how about if you go to them first? Hey, we just came out with this new item, this new upgrade, or whatever the case may be. I think you'd love it. Come on in and take a look. Okay? It's just that simple of a thing. You're still going after new business, but this is a repeat business. Repeat business. Remember here, the thing here where the magic happens, converting prospects into customers and repeat customers. Don't rely on them to contact you, but keep in touch with them. We bought a house back in December of 2014. Okay? Maybe once a year, I get a card from the realtor that sold us the house. I don't know if once a year is adequate. I guess you be the judge of that, how frequently that you should be contacting your customer, for repeat business and so on, for new sales. But just keep in touch. Keep in touch with that customer. Okay? So that is sales. A lot of meat there in sales. Took a long time to go through because there's a lot of information. I hope you took a lot of notes because there's so much stuff. There's so much good stuff in this 6-step sales process. It's so important for you to know these things. And then to find out the things that you don't know, we can work with those. We can work on those later. The last step here in the triangle, number 3, is operations. What in the world is operation? You're not a surgeon. You're not doing operations. It's an aspect of a business, okay? Operations is the function of tying everything together in your business, of what you do. It's the operation that ties everything together. It oversees all the facets of the company. It's the glue that holds everything together. Operations. It's the process of producing and delivering a product or service to customers on time and of the desired quality. It includes managing resources such as personnel, materials, equipment, as well as managing customer service. Even though you're number 1 customer service part, right? There's still typically a customer service department under the guys under the area of operations. It provides, now we're getting this stuff, this is important. It provides for strategic planning for predictable growth. Strategic planning for predictable growth. I certainly did not have any of that. As I said earlier, the businesses that did well, it was just happenstance. It just kind of happened. It wasn't anything that I could say that I orchestrated or had a whole big hand in. It just happened because I wasn't planning. I wasn't strategizing for anything. All right? Strategic planning for predictable growth. Without growth, the company is going to stagnate and eventually fail. A lot of mine did. Without planning, everything is up for grabs. That's the story of most of my business life, was up for grabs because I didn't plan. You've heard the expression, people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. As a business owner, as a professional, you want to plan. Remember the part about closing and failing to have a financial plan in place? You want to plan that financial future. You have a business, you're the owner of the business, you're the manager of the business. You want to have a plan in place for strategic growth in that, all right? There are specific steps to take to grow a business along with defined breakpoints to measure progress. Remember, we don't want to rely on happenstance. We want to plan strategically for that growth and see it happen. While I don't have time to get into the details of this aspect, this planning part is really long-term critical thing. All right? Now there's a couple of images I want to show you here briefly. Breakpoints. Notice I've got breakpoints laid out here as like steps, going up steps, okay? We've got 0 to $1 million. If you haven't reached $1 million, you're in this category somewhere. If you're over $1 million, then the second slide is going to pertain to you a little bit more. But we've got different parts here and different focuses during those different parts, okay? So we've got to get to $250,000. And then from there, we want to go to $400,000. And then we want to go up to, what is it, 800? And then we go from there to $1 million. And that's not the end of the line unless you want it to be. But why would you want it to be when there's more to go? Maybe you're going to end up opening more shops, more stores, more businesses, or whatever the case may be. Never stop. Never stop. There's so much more. Remember, success is your duty, your obligation, your responsibility. So keep it up. Then we can get into the $0 to $125 million part. And there's steps in different areas there too, all the way up to $125 million. Maybe your business is over $125 million. Well, don't fear, because we have ways to take you even beyond. The sky's the limit with what we do, with who I have access to, the people that I know that I can plug you into, regardless of where you are. We've got a plan for you. All right, so that's the operations part in a nutshell. So those are the three parts of my triangle of business: marketing, sales, operations. A little bit of information on each one. Didn't want to take the whole day, but there's a lot more to say about each subject. A lot more to say. All right? So what I'm going to show you now is a special package that I put together for these seminars. All right? You can take advantage of them. Special pricing. It includes training, online training program from Grant Cardone. It includes coaching with yours truly on a bi-weekly or a weekly basis, and it's all available. So here's the program. I trust you can see that okay. There's two different types of coaching that I do. There's the bi-weekly coaching, and then there's also the one-on-one coaching. Okay? And both of those coaching programs come with 12 months of Cardone University on his 24/7 online access sales training system. All right. These are some of the subjects that are covered in that online training. This, by the way, you can access from any place in the world, on any device, at any time of the night or day, and it's a self-paced training program. The recommendation is that you do training, say 10 to 20 minutes a day, go through some of these segments that are typically 5 to 7 minutes long, take the quiz at the end of each one, go on to the next one, make notes, and practice what you've been learning, and then go on to the next one. There's like over 800 courses in this program that is going to take you from start to finish all the way through and just fortify you or fortify any of your people with what you or they need to know in order to overcome things happening in sales and business and finances and in general success. All right? So, fundamental science of selling, the sales system, 100 ways to stay motivated, mastering the cold call. You don't do that, but then there's follow-up, advanced follow-up strategies. Remember I said it takes at least 8 times usually to close a sale? And then Grant had this 365-day program. So, follow up, and follow through. Okay? And we got all sorts of stuff. 64 traits of a great entrepreneur. Prospecting strategies. Maybe you're not into that. Maybe you're mostly into the response. But then there's the marketing part of things too, where you're getting your prospects' attention, where you're getting them ultimately to come into the store. So this is kind of an overview, a brief overview of what Cardone University is about. And you get 12 months of that with your package. Oh, this is interesting here. This is the way a lot of companies work. And it's the way that car dealership worked that I was with, okay, where the manufacturer has product knowledge. The local dealer has product knowledge and maybe a little training. The one that I worked for did not have any sales training at all. But then the third part here is Cardone University. And the goal then is not to take the place of these other two levels, but to enhance all of that and bring it all down so that the salesperson could make sense and make use of all of that head knowledge when it comes to the aspect of the product knowledge. All right. So that's just a little diagram on how the sales training fits into the scheme of things with a company that has their own product information and training for that. But then we get into the coaching part. We have 34 different topics for coaching that in a group situation, we may be presenting these 34 topics. We may be talking about particular needs and issues of people that are in that group that holds up to 8 people. On a one-on-one situation, which is really great for yourself as a business person, a one-on-one where we talk about only your issues, only the things that pertain to you and nobody else. If you have somebody else that you want to bring into these coaching things, we can do that too. But it's primarily about you and your business and your life, your career, and so on. So that's the coaching thing about it there too. So close your eyes and picture the day. Picture the day when you've made the big sale because of this program. You tied into it, you've done what you were taught, the feedback's been great, and you made a super sale because of this program. Picture the day when your accountant calls you up and says, what do you want to do with all this extra money that you're making? Picture that day. Picture the day when you've reached the point where you can work only when you want to and play the rest of the time. Those days are at your fingertips. I'm here to tell you. Now, this is for you. You know it's for you. Whether you got 0 employees, 10 employees, 100 employees, 1,000 employees, you're just starting out, you've reached $1 million in sales, or you're way past $1 million in sales. This program is for you because there's something for everybody. There's something in this program for every business, for every individual. You deserve more money, man. You deserve more money. You deserve more money. You deserve the freedom money buys for you and your family. And you deserve the satisfaction that having more money provides by way of time and choices. So often, we as business owners are owned by the business rather than we owning and directing the business. Wouldn't you agree? We want to get into that place where we control the business, how things go, because we've done the right things. So that's it. That's the program. You can tie into this right today. This is the bi-weekly coaching, for example. I have weekly coaching available as well. But the bi-weekly coaching is where you'd start out. Keep in mind, though, whichever way you go, weekly or bi-weekly, one-on-one, or whatever the case may be, it includes the Grant Cardone University of 24/7 access for 12 months, okay, and all those 800 courses that you have. So an individual that is just exploring this for their career, maybe he's a sales person or whatever the case may be, I'd recommend the group coaching because there's likely to be up to 8 people in that group. And what that means is that even though we can talk about the 34 coaching topics and there's some free-flowing student interaction, it's not going to be focusing on any one of those 8 people, because there's other people that are going to be, involved in this conversation. We meet for 6 sessions in this case, about 45 minutes per session. Now, for a business owner, honestly, I would recommend the one-on-one, because then we can focus strictly on your issues, on the things that pertain to your business and where you're trying to go as far as how I can help in the coaching arena of that. Does that make sense? So let me ask you this. Have you seen enough? Have you heard enough to make a decision? So which of these 2 plans makes sense for you today? What you can do is go onto the website, rstcoachingacademy.com/GYB. Or you know what? If you got your cell phone handy, use the QR code. So you can just go onto that page and you can select the plan that you want and we can get you going.
Okay, folks, so there it was. A little rendition of my, what I call a signature talk on growing business. The theme is moving forward in business, moving forward in career, moving forward in life. If you're interested in moving forward, get a hold of me at rstcoachingacademy.com. Get a hold of me by phone, 386-286-2450. Either way, I'm here to serve you. I'm here to help you move forward in your life in any way that I can. So hope to be hearing from you and hope to be of service to you. Thank you. Over and out. Bye.